Hi folks, and welcome to the main battle. As you remember on the Game of Squares board, that's roughly the outline of the battle, and we move now on to the tabletop itself. The rules I'm going to be using are around Napoleon. They're grand tactical rules, so they're not greatly detailed, but they do give a good flavour of the Napoleonic battles. If we have a quick sort of closer look, as you can see, there are two brigades of French cavalry in the village, and there's a third brigade, or just a smattering of the brigade, right over in the far corner. We have the French reserve battery set up, and if we swing over a little bit further, just behind the trees, if you can make them out, we've got the French dragoons, and we can swing down, zoom out a bit, there we go. We've got two divisions of Prussian infantry. As you remember, at the end of the Game of Squares, they were just making their way onto the table, and if we look right over the far side, zoom in on them, we've got the Austrian cavalry brigade. Their job, as you remember, was to swing around and try and find a way around the and over the river to cut off the French retreat, or at least make it difficult for them. So if we just come out a little bit further, there you go, as best I can do it, get the overall picture of the battle itself. There you go. As I say, I'm not going to play every turn out. It would just take too long, and most of you would fall asleep halfway through. So I'm just going to do the basics, and then cut back in again occasionally, just to show you the progress of the battle. Turn one I'm going to give to the Prussians, because they are the attacking force. So the way that the morale Napoleon works by movement is you can move troops in three ways: straight forward, straight backwards, and to the side, diagonally or directly sideways. And the way they do that is you roll 2 dice, 2d6. If you're moving straight forward, you take the higher score, and that's how many inches you move. If you're moving diagonally or sideways, you take the lower score, which would be 1 inch. That's basically how movement works. I'm going to pause the video here and do some rolling, see what happens with the movement of the Prussians. Basically, both Prussian divisions are going to be rolling forwards. I'll be back in a second. Hi folks, back again, and yeah, all the Prussians have moved. The French are staying roughly where they are. The only thing was that the Austrian cavalry failed to activate. Basically what activation means is at the start of each turn, it's the command and control phase, and if your corps commander, which is down here, if he's within 12 inches of any of the other divisional commanders, which he was in that one, the divisions and brigades activate automatically, and they can move and whatever. But because the Austrians right over there are a long way away from their corps commander, because he's probably about over here somewhere, just off the map, they have to activate on their own division or brigade commander, and you roll a d6, and if it's the result is equal or less, you're fine. If it's higher, then they don't activate, which is exactly what happened. As I say, the French are basically sitting and watching, seeing what the Prussians are going to do, and we are going to move on to turn 2, because there's no melee. Okay, so we're going to do a start of turn 2. Now we're going to see which side gets to be the activated side. You roll 1d6 each. Yellow dice is going to be for the French, orange dice for the Prussians, and whoever rolls highest, which in this case was the Prussians with a 6, they get to be the activated side. So again, the Prussians would be moving first. I'll come back after the end of the movement turn 2. Folks, back in, and it's the end of movement turn 2. This time the Austrians did activate, so they're moving forward, seeing they can find a ford or something to get over the river. The French dragoons right over on the far side have basically just watching them, guarding their side of the river. If they try and come over, they'll I'm sure they'll have something to say about it. The French again haven't really moved. They're just watching and waiting to see what the Prussians are going to be doing, and the Prussians are slowly but surely moving forward. The combat, as in the ranged shooting artillery fire, is all factored into the melee, so you don't have to worry about the firing stage. The only time that you can be firing at distance is if the artillery wish to demolish areas of housing, so the makes it more difficult for the opponent to hide in the buildings. But other than that, the actual firefights and things feature as part of a factor of the melee, which we're almost there, but obviously you have to reach your opponent first before you can get into melee. So I'm going to skip forward a bit, and I'm going to do a bit more movement and see what happens. I'll come back in a bit. Start of turn 3, we've got the so we've done the movement. We've also got more Prussians. These are this is the cavalry brigade. Excuse the what looks like snow on the bases. I just haven't had time to paint them up yet. But there's the Prussian Reserve Cavalry Brigade, and the rest of the Prussian army is moving swiftly forwards. We've also got some more French. There's another French division moving up into the area as well. So yeah, it's pretty much it's building up to be quite a sizable scrap. Obviously, we've got an awful lot of Austrians to make an appearance yet. So yeah, it's going well. One of the things I did forget to mention in the game is that it's only 10 turns long for the first day of the battle. Well, this is turn 3, so I think melee is going to be starting in turn 4, as in the fighting is going to be starting in turn 4. The Austrian cavalry right over the far side have split up. They're desperately trying to find some way of getting over this damn river, and the French dragoons are more than happy just to sit there and watch them as they attempt to. So I'm going to do some turn 4 now, and I'll get back to you. And here we have it, halfway through turn 4, movement done. As you can see right over the far side here, the Prussians have gone in, and they're also going in the centre as well. Bit of poor dice rolling over here for the movement. So they didn't quite get as far as I was hoping they were going to get. One of Steve's top tips when playing morale with Napoleon is try and keep your units together. It makes it much easier. It means you only have to roll 1 dice to move an entire division. If you start splitting them up like I have here, each individual units have to roll a d6, so it kind of breaks them up a little bit. But yeah, it didn't go too well there. But yeah, the Prussians have gone in on the flanks in the centre, at least one of the flanks in the centre. For our side, the Austrian cavalry have found a way over, and I'll get back to you, see some of the results of the melee. Melee factors are just basically certain factors are taken into account, like firing, artillery, firing support, so you get a +1. If your units are formed, you get +1s, and roll a dice, and the best side wins. It depends on how well you've won, is then you roll a d6 to see what the result is of the defeated side and the winning side, because obviously, you know, it's a simulated combat, so both sides take casualties, both sides go forwards, backwards, so it's quite good because it just it plays the battle quite sweetly, quite quickly, and it gives you a good flavour of the battles. If you don't think about how to coordinate your battles, like I just did there, it could be staring at disaster in the face. I'll get back to you with the results. And returned after the first round of melee. As you can see on this side, this French brigade is basically unformed. They've taken one hell of a battering from this large number of Prussians trying to take the village. But they're still there hanging on. Reverse happened here. The front of this Prussian column is unformed because they just basically walked into a wall of lead and were supported by the cannon. They also had the infantry support as well. So yeah, it's looking quite good. So we're going to go on to, whiz out a bit more, go on to turn 5's movement now and see how we go back in a little while. Movement done for turn 5. Yet more Prussians. The final division is moving up now, and we've also the Austrians right over on the far side have definitely made their way over the bridge, over the ford now. The dragoons are just waiting for them, and they're going to have a bit of a skirmish over on that side. And as I say, the Prussian cavalry, reserve cavalry, are just sitting there because they're not quite sure what they're going to do at the moment. They're waiting someone to tell them what to do. And as I say, this movement for turn 5. So I'll get back to you in a bit after the combat. Yeah, the end of turn 5's combat, and the French are being pushed back by sheer weight of number over in this corner here, and they're also being not having been pushed back. They're still there at the moment, but they are disordered, I should say. So I'm looking for the right word there. And so yes, it's looking pretty hectic in the town now at the moment. The Prussians are almost in the town. I think Marshal Victor, who's right over in there's Marshal Victor there, he's keeping a close eye on the area. He's going to try and hold on for the day. It's only turn 5 now, so he's got another 5 to go, so don't know, see what happens. If he manages to hold on at the end of the day, at the end of the 10th turn, he may start getting a bit of support, or he might just decide to withdraw and link up with the other French court, which is way over there, sort of a few miles away over there. But see what happens. He doesn't want to lose too many men, so we'll see what happens. See you at the end of turn 6. I ended the combat, and yeah, there's quite a bit going on. The French have been slowly driven back here, but so have the centre Prussian column on the road as well. Again, the French are just about hanging in there, but with the help of the artillery over on the other side of the river and some extra troops, they have also disordered the head of the Prussian columns as well. So yeah, it's all happening over there. There's some serious fighting going on. As I say, right over the other side of the river there, the actual, if I can get them in focus, not too bad, the French dragoons have actually disordered the Austrian hussars. So yeah, that was a pretty swift battle over on that side. We've still got plenty more French soldiers on the other side of the river, but it's getting pretty heavily pushed back now in the centre of the town, and there's an awful lot of more Prussians coming, and eventually there's also going to be even more Austrians coming as well. So I think Marshal Victor is going to be holding on for a little bit more. So this is turn 7 now, so I'll get back to you at the end of turn 7. Back again, and the end of turn 7's combat. Haven't really moved up much of the Prussians. I think the French are definitely starting to look for the back door. They're starting to withdraw troops over the bridge now, so I think the Prussians are desperately trying to collapse this flank so they can stop as many French getting over the bridge as possible. The Prussian cavalry are heading over towards the river crossing as well now, so they can add their weight, as are the Austrian dragoons moving over in support of their fellow Austrian hussars. And yes, end of turn 7. We're going to move to turn 8, and I'll be back in a bit. This is the end of turn 8 now, and the French would definitely be drawing over the bridge. They're trying desperately to hold on to the main flank here, so they can keep the bridge head open. They've thrown their last reserve of fresh French infantry to hold this flank as long as they can. I think they'll possibly melt out that way and see if they can link up somewhere else. And on a wider picture, the Prussians are now moving up in numbers, as are the Prussian cavalry starting to move over as well. Over in the far corner, the Austrian hussars have been pushed back by the French dragoons, and the Austrian dragoons were just about to make contact as well. So I think they'll merrily fight on there for as long as they can. The Austrian army is about to appear at the bottom of the picture as well. I'm not going to put too many of them out there because I don't think they're going to affect the outcome of the battle, because I think the French are just biding their time and withdrawing for as long as they can, as smartly as they can. Okay, it's the top end of turn 9 now, and as you can see, we've got the French are definitely in full retreat. The Austrians have actually made an appearance as well now, and there's a pretty much big cavalry fight going on up there. The the Austrian dragoons have come in now, so they're helping them out over there. They're holding their own against the French dragoons now, and the French have brought in their last, so you can zoom over there, their last bits of reserve. They've been bringing up all their artillery and everything else so they can start pounding away, trying to slow the Prussians down. They've had a bit of success down on this flank, where fresh French troops have basically stopped the Prussian advance in its tracks on that flank. This flank is grimly holding on. I don't know how long for. We've only got the last game turn now, so yeah, I think you could possibly call this one an Allied win. Although the French did put a good fight up there. It's the sheer weight of number from the Prussians that have made it count, so they're going to be pushing ahead. So I think the battle's only going to be lasting one day. I would imagine I'll roll some dice at the end of this to see what will happen, but I think the French will take advantage of a lull in the battle and basically make their way up here to link up with the French. It does mean that the Allied units, the Prussians and the Austrians, will make it over the river and into French-held territory. So yeah, we've still got 2 more days of movement as well for the week 5. So I'll play the last turn out, and we'll see what position we're in then. Back soon. And there we have it, folks, at turn 10. The battle's finished itself, and the French are still kind of holding the bridge. But they are on the way back out of it, so the Prussians are going to halt here. I think the remnants of the French are going to make their way back over to the bridge. Losses aren't too heavy, but I'll do a dice rolls after this battle to see what condition they're in, but shouldn't be too bad. They took a bit of a mauling in the centre there, but yeah, it won't be too bad at all. So Marshal Victor can be reasonably happy with himself to holding up the Prussians for as long as he could. Over the far side, all the cavalry are moving over in this direction, but it's a bit late there. But it's not too bad at all. The French are still in one piece. It wasn't too bad. They've managed to hold the Prussians for a little while and extract themselves rather well, I thought. So yeah, we'll call it a battle there, and I'll give a summary at next weekend with the week 6 of the movement as well, so a roundup of week 5 movements and week 6's movement as well. You never know, there may be another battle on the cards, because obviously there are a lot of French over there. So we'll see what happens. But as always, thanks for watching, taking the time to watch my videos. Again, if there's any questions, queries, leave them in the messages, and I'll get back to you. But until then, give you a wide shot, and bye for now.